Guess who's back? Back again. Boba's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? 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 I'm so proud of you, son. Papa! But I didn't avenge your death! Avenging my death was not important. Revenging your reputation with the fans, that's what is important. Papa! You've made me so proud! I love you! I love you too, son! Oh, this is the way! And down goes Solo. Well said.
Welcome back, everyone, to We Have Spoken. And oh my god, he's back! He's back in all his glory.
This is something us older fans have been waiting for since, forever. To get the Boba Fett we deserve.
Fett Man's back. I finally understand now why people like him so much. Because it baffled me for the longest time that he was, this character that was, everyone's favorite. And yet, you get one action scene with him in Return of the Jedi in which he immediately bites it. And he's, gone. I'm glad that this finally shows why Boba Fett is such a big deal. Because, man, he was awesome in this. God, there's so much to talk about in this. Where should we even start? I know we want to start with Boba, but is there...
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Actually, well, we could start with having that nice little character moment that Mando has with Grogu. He's playing around with him. He's like Grogu, haha. Trying to get the feel for his name and getting the hang of him. Take the ball, and he takes it, and he's but at the same time he also gets scared because it's this kid is really powerful. Because I would imagine he hasn't had that much interaction with Jedi ever since
Probably not ever.
Ever since Order 66.
Yeah, since Order 66, but he was young back then. But I don't think he's not so familiar with it. So it's he's like a parent with a prodigy child. He doesn't know how to...
Or a cat parent just, holding, a toy in front of him, waiting for him to bat it.
But, he kind of almost... But at the same... he wants to help Grogu, but doesn't know how. It's so, beyond him. Mm-hmm. Especially with, with his unfamiliarity with the Force. So, and that's why they're going to this planet to put him on top of a pedestal, literally, and try to find out what, find a Jedi.
I don't know, I looked at it and I'm like, wait, wasn't this the peak where the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was, or something?
What's that? What are you talking about?
Funny enough, that's not the only reference I made in this review.
They quickly get there, they put him on top of the thing, they're waiting for something to happen, and guess who decides to show up? Just the big old... Hold on a sec.
Sergeant Tin Can himself.
And...
Hang on, I got it.
Oh.
The wings.
He's trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and we see this. We see the slave one just coming in, and immediately we know who's coming in, and it's Boba Fett, unarmed, without the armor stuff, but apparently he brought a friend.
The sniper from the one episode
from
of
the
season
Gunslinger.
1. Yeah.
Played by Fa Mulan. She apparently survived, I guess due to fan demand or something. Or I assume that they already had this planned. I know people were like, oh, we want to see more of her. They got to bring her back somehow. I'm like, well, they wouldn't have shown, Boba standing over her body if she wasn't going to survive. I do like how he was saying how I've been tracking you all this time. And I'm like, wait, how long have you been following them? Because they've been gone for how long since Tatooine?
Which one, the first time or the second time?
Well, I assume the second time, because that's when he realized he had his armor.
Yes.
And, I know it hasn't been that long, but I imagine it's been long enough. Plus, how many times have they been stranded so far, and Boba never caught up to them up until that point?
I mean, when they went onto the ice planet, basically Mando was being tracked and tailed by the New Republic, so he probably wanted to lay low until they passed.
I guess, but I'm saying if he's been tracking him, there was many opportunities he could have, I guess ambushed him or something. I mean,
Well,
heck, when they crashed on the friggin' planet.
Well, when they crashed on the planet, it was too desolate. And then when they got to the actual place, there was too many people. It was a civilization. There was too much going on with there, and also there was some Imperial activity. So
he could have shown up when he met with Ahsoka. That would have been a good place to park out and ambush him. Just saying.
He was kind of distracted at that point, and he was working with a Jedi.
yeah.
I'm just saying. I feel like I know this is narrative wise.
The last time
sense,
the last time Boba interacted with the Jedi, things didn't end well for him.
True. He shows up and he's just like, I want my armor.
I want my armor. It was my father's. It was my father's armor. And his father's. Well, not really, but maybe not that far, but...
That's another thing that always confused me. They said it's his father's armor, yet Jango's armor and his armor look completely different.
I think what it is he might have just changed it to kind of create his own identity.
Give it a paint job.
That's kind of how I see it.
It's like when you buy a car and you just...
he definitely painted over Slave One. There's no doubt about that. They look pretty different. You can already see the stuff on the shoulders is different. Jango's got a longer antenna thing than Boba does, but then again, maybe Boba just has it down.
Or maybe he modified the hell out of the armor or something. Or he's just been in more scuffs than Jango has, considering how scratched up his armor is.
I know that's another thing is that.
And then you look at Child Boba, and that's completely different.
But yeah, so Boba comes back and he basically, it's at first we think does he want the child? Is he trying to cash in on this? And the answer is no. He just wants his armor. I'll give you the armor and I'll make sure that that the child is taken after, which is a little different from the Boba Fett that we've always been used to. He's a cutthroat bounty hunter. He's just trying to do a job. But here, I think what they've done is they've taken the canon a little bit because Boba Fett and Jango Fett are now considered actual Mandalorians. They decide there's still some of that old creed. Jango may have taught him some of the things about what it means to be a Mandalorian when he was younger, and carried it over with Boba Fett. So
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if half the Star Wars universe suffered a friggin' aneurysm at this point, trying to figure out the whole Mandalorian thing and what counts and what doesn't. Because it's at first they're saying, oh yeah, they were Mandalorians, and then they turn around and say, oh no, he actually wasn't, he stole the armor. But then they turn back around and said, oh yeah, it actually was, because he was a foundling, he was adopted. And I'm like, make up your mind.
I think what we wound up going with at this point is that it's like religious sects. It's there's different, branches of Mandalorian, and maybe one doesn't recognize the other.
Mandalorian, you have Acidic Mandalorian.
Keep in mind that you have there was the Mandalorian Civil War, so there was that scuffle, so that's why you probably have the different sects. But then after when Boba tries to work out a deal with Mando, all the Imperials then show up because, remember, the Imperials have been tracking the Razor Crest for quite some time.
Everybody's been tracking the Razor Crest.
I've been frickin' saying, they're gonna ambush them as soon as they get to that frickin' planet.
And so the troops come, and they're shooting, and then it turns into a big old shooting fest, and then, Boba has, this, staff with a piercer.
I think that was supposed to be, the staff the Tusken Raiders use, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's going to town on them. He's just wailing, it's crack, you could see... the shell of the armor of the stormtroopers cracking, and it's just just bashing, the helmets are
We should mention that this episode was directed by
Robert
Rodriguez, so this had Machete all over it. So I just imagine Boba Fett as Machete, just without the armor, just going.
Very Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Boba was down goes Solo, down goes the Empire,
down goes Stormtrooper. And then one of the Stormtroopers actually had the chain gun, just But then they knock the boulder, just cut. Then they shoot the boulder and
I told you that's not really reference.
They had to.
By the way, I saw a meme earlier that kind of addressed the whole thing with Mando's, what do they call them? His wrist rocket things?
There's a name for it, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know,
Remember how the welder told him that, be careful, these are rare, and yet we've seen him use it at least 4 or 5 times by this point? It's like
It's only when it's convenient to the plot.
Yeah, because like the meme was like, oh, be certain these are rare, use them sparingly, and then it's like a picture of Arnold going. I'm like, yeah.
It's only when it's convenient to the plot.
Yeah. They were also mentioning too in regards, because at one point you see him sort of shield the sniper by using himself and his armor and stuff. Yet we've seen before that Mandalorians have been shot down before by stormtroopers, or at least with laser fire. So
I guess it depends on the ammo.
It depends on the ammo. It depends also on the best guards that they're using,
and the marksmanship. How good of a shot are you?
Yes.
Oh yeah, these are stormtroopers.
Yeah. I was like, why are you guys still flanking? You're being proven completely outdone by Boba, but then it's like, then we see the freaking Star Destroyer with the Dark Troopers come out, and they're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Can I say something
In chess,
about...
the pawns go first.
I was going to say that something about that really bothered me, because it's like, we finally see the Dark Troopers in action, and what do? They take the baby and leave. I'm like, okay, so you're not going to go after them? You're not going to shoot them? You just sent down your strongest soldiers just for a retrieval?
Well, look who they're fighting!
Well, I would like to point out that in the midst of all this battle, Grogu right now is basically, he's like in this like force field kind of thing. I guess he's like...
Force field.
He was making a spirit bomb.
He's basically kind of sending out like a transmission, I guess, to whoever Jedi. And there have been some articles online about saying like which Jedi is he communicating with? Is he communicating with Luke Skywalker? Is it maybe Mace Windu who's somehow alive? Like there's all these different theories on like which Jedi is he reaching out to, or someone we maybe don't know that hasn't yet to be introduced. We don't know that.
I saw a meme in the Quentin Tarantino posting group where it was like him meditating, and then you see Samuel Jackson's like, shit, Grogu, all you had to do was ask. If that doesn't happen, I'll be so disappointed.
There is like I said, there is a theory that maybe Mace Windu is still alive, and that's maybe he's reaching out to Mace Windu. We don't know. We'll have to see.
I definitely do not think Mace Windu died. Given all
I don't think so either.
If Paul could survive getting cut in half, Mace Windu could definitely survive having his arm like cut off and then just being like shocked a little bit.
And seriously, like after the whole chase through Coruscant in episode 2, I'm like convinced that Mace just fell onto a passing speeder.
That's pretty much my theory. Fell into a passing speeder, and now he has like a robotic arm or something.
Yeah.
And it just so happened he ended up in like a trafficking situation. So he's been in like a Chinese imprisonment camp for the last 20-something years. And then it comes out with a vengeance, and he's like, "It's time." And then Bobo seemed like, "Motherfucker."
He's like, "Use the Force, motherfucker."
Well, I mean, he had to lay low because as soon as he got, as soon as he attacked the Emperor and the soon-to-be Emperor, I should say, Order 66 went down, so he probably immediately had to go into hiding.
I figured as much.
Like with a lot of Jedi did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if he does come back, I'd really like to know what their excuse is going to be for that. Because, I mean, Mace always seemed like the type who would, like, immediately go in, like guns a-blazing and stuff. So, I imagine, like, especially after what the Emperor did to him and what Anakin did to him, you think he'd really be after revenge.
So then, as Mando's joining in the fight, then Boba comes out in the full armor because he sees the Razor Crest and he goes into the Razor Crest, gets his armor, and then he comes out in full armor and he just starts shooting up everything. He starts beating everyone.
I like how he broke into Mando's ship and just jacked his shit right away. He's like, fuck it, I'm getting my shit. We're doing this right.
He's going to town. He has like knee rockets. There's like rockets shooting out of his knee. Out of his kneecap.
Awesome.
Didn't know that was a thing. And then, as everyone is in the full retreat, as the two Imperial, I don't want to call them shuttles. They're like transports heading up. He shoots a rocket, and it takes both of them down. And then he just turns in like that money shot, and just as the ships go down. I thought that was so pretty.
And then he's like, I missed. I was trying to hit the other one.
I was aiming for the hangman. But then out of nowhere, the big capital ship comes in, and one shot, boom, destroys the Razor Crest.
I called it! It wasn't quite what I expected, But I called it.
It was very all of a sudden.
I said the Razor Crest was gonna bite it in this season.
After everything it went through.
It had it coming.
It's like half the cast in Game of Thrones where you see them tortured for so long and then they get free and they're like, oh, finally, they're gonna live happily ever after. Nope. Nope.
Looking at you, Reek. But anyway, so yeah, the Razor Crest just gone.
Gone. With exception.
Yeah.
What manages to survive is just that Beskar staff that...
The staff and Grogu's ball.
And Grogu's ball, of course.
From what I read online, apparently Boba forgot to grab one of his blasters or something, so I think that got blown up with the ship.
He'll get new
I'm sure he's fine.
He'll get new weapons and stuff, and yeah. So
considering like the weaponry is probably like old and like not and useless at this point, it's probably better.
You'd probably borrow one of Mando's anyway.
Yeah.
So at this point, Moff Gideon now has the child. Now has Grogu.
And Grogu, oh boy, is he pissed. Oh god, like he force choked 2 stormtroopers at the same time.
At the same time.
And then just like bashed them together.
He even, I think, tried to choke Moff Gideon too, but he just
No,
didn't
he wasn't.
have
No, he was
have-
already too tired at that point.
Yeah, but you see him, he's like trying to.
No, he was trying to get the saber.
He was trying to get the saber when he showed
The dark
I wish
saber.
he'd grab that thing though.
It's a lightsaber.
Yes,
No,
I'm
'cause
gonna
he was
grab a
showing
lightsaber.
He was showing, because Gideon was showing him the dark saber, and that's when you see Grogu reach out.
Yeah, I figured it was either trying to summon the darksaber or trying to choke Moff Gideon. Either or.
But like I said, he was too wiped at that point to do anything, so
Yeah.
Poor
it's
thing.
irrelevant.
And they put him in little handcuffs.
They have baby handcuffs in the Empire.
I'm waiting for a Simpsons meme too.
With
No,
Maggie.
With Maggie. Yeah.
I saw another meme too where it was like a stormtrooper's like, wait, we have baby cuffs? Are we the bad guys?
We're the bad guys.
Oh no, we're the bad guys.
I know it was awful because he was all wiped out, he's capturing stuff, but seeing him with the little tiny handcuffs was so cute. God damn it. Just everything he has to do is cute.
It's adorable-brific.
Yeah.
So now Mando is getting a crew together to go
Gang.
to break.
Okay,
You know,
gang.
kind of what I
Gang.
said last time, which is Grogu was going to get captured, and now they're going to have to get like a crew, and Mando's got to get a crew.
You
to come
son
and
of a
break-
bitch, I'm in.
Exactly. And he's getting
He's getting Bill Burr
Yeah.
for some reason.
he's getting him back for some reason.
I'm like, wouldn't he hate your guts though?
Yeah, that confused me as well, because I'm like, you
Maybe
do remember
because
he
of it-
betrayed you and left you for dead, right?
But he gives him a chance to shoot against the Empire, though.
I guess. I don't know, I feel like there was so many other people in the galaxy, so many people in his travels he could have asked besides him.
I'm actually willing to make a prediction right here. I think Bo-Katan comes back in the finale, because like.
I'm thinking a few people are going to come back. I think Bo-Katan. I think
Bo-Katan
the
and
Marshal. So yeah, I think
Ahsoka might show up again.
Ahsoka could show up. Yep.
But I think out of all of them, I think Bo-Katan, especially because they now know where Moff Gideon is, and Moff Gideon has the Darksaber, so Bo-Katan needs the Darksaber so she can rule Mandalore again.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense to me.
Now I'm wondering how this is going to go down, though, because, yeah, he gets the crew together, so is this going to be a full-out assault? Are they going to try to sneak in incognito, like original Death Star style, or, like, how do you think this is going to go down?
I'm thinking it's going to be incognito, because remember in the episode where, you know, when they meet Bo-Katan, and they're hijacking that one Imperial ship, and Moff Gideon tells them, like, oh, we're kamikazing the ship, but it didn't happen. So Moff Gideon doesn't know that the ship is not destroyed. He doesn't know that Bo-Katan has it, so they're going to use that ship to kind of sneak in to the.
They're definitely going to need it, considering
to sneak on board. So that's why I think Bo-Katan comes in, because she has an Imperial ship that allows them to be able to dock with the Imperial freighter, with the capital ship, and be able to sneak on board and try and get Grogu.
So we're gonna get one of those. It's an old code, but it checks out.
Yes, that's where I think they're going. That's where I think they're going.
I could see that happening. Now I'm, like, wondering, too, because, like, when Grogu wakes up, what do you think's going to happen with that? Because I know they have to get him to the doctor in order to get more of his blood samples and stuff.
Do you think the Doctor will come back though? Do you think the Doctor would be on the ship, Or
I don't think he is because they would have already had him in the med bay at that point. I mean, he's just on like a transporter ship.
he could show up like either like near the end of the next episode or the beginning of the finale, like some like he's docking on the ship to make sure that.
I just had a thought. It's probably not going to happen considering he, hasn't shown that yet and probably wouldn't know how to, but it's a possibility. I think back to Force Awakens when Rey used the mind technique to get the stormtrooper to free her.
You think Grogu's gonna do that?
Yeah, like he won't say it, but like through his like telepathic thing, he'll get the stormtrooper to release him, and he'll try to escape himself.
Okay, I could see that.
or we're gonna get he's too cute, man. You can't do it, man.
This is like out of control.
Or you watch, he'll go all freaking Saiyan, and he'll be like floating in midair with like all the power and force around him, and he's just like. Psh, psh,
Oh no! Wait! The Jedi that he may have gotten in contact with may show up.
But it could be anybody. It could be. I mean, it could have been Ahsoka. It could be.
Mace.
It could be Mace. Could be Luke Skywalker.
Could be Ezra.
Like it could be Ezra. Like they've theorized that maybe it's Luke Skywalker and that Luke shows up, but it's like Sebastian Stan. Like I've heard that rumors.
I don't think
around.
it's going to be Luke.
I don't think so.
I really don't think it's going to be
I don't
Luke.
think so at this point either, because it wouldn't make any sense timeline-wise, because at this point Luke is actually going around trying to find all these Sith artifacts. So it wouldn't make any sense for him to, because he's not at that stage where he's trying to search for other Jedi to try to start New Jedi Temple and start training. He's not at that point yet in the timeline.
Right.
So it's a little too early yet, so I don't think it's going to be Luke. It'd be weird kind of redundant if it ends up being Ahsoka, but you did mention Ezra
Bridger from our Rebels.
So it's possible it could be that too.
Or just one of the other random ass Jedi that we didn't see die on screen or something. Or if we did see them die, maybe they didn't actually die.
There's a video or
Oh no! I've got
No one's
one.
ever really gone.
I've got one for you.
There's actually I think there's like an article or a video somewhere where they basically list all the Jedi that survived Order 66.
I've got one for you.
What?
Shakti.
Is she alive?
Motherfucking Shakti just winds up happening to still be alive after all this time, and she comes around. I mean, you've already got Ahsoka, who's basically like the same race.
That is
so
true.
It's like,
So like, yeah.
why the hell not?
I got confused for a little bit in a second because I'm still thinking operating under the old canon because Shakti is dead in the old canon, but I guess she's still alive in the new one because like. Whoever's dead is now possibly still alive again, and vice versa. Like
Freaking Star Wars universe, Jesus.
Because remember, they were gonna kill Shakti off in Episode 3, and they deleted that because of Jendi Clone Wars.
Yes, because they were going to do it in the movie, but then they eventually did kill Shakti in the Force Awakens. No, the Force Unleashed video game, but that's a whole other. That's a whole other can of worms.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It could be anybody.
I was just throwing out the most obscure thing I could.
That is very obscure.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities now. Like, so these are the last 2 episodes, so I assume it's going to be like a 2-part finale for this.
Yeah.
Like last season, yeah, because that's kind of like how they set up with season 1, where like you had the prelude in like the third to last episode. And then you have like this 2-part finale kind of thing interconnecting each other.
Seriously, how could you have filler or, anything less than a 2-parter at this junction when Grogu is abducted?
But at this point, like, they had to have him have a full-on abduction with Grogu because, like in the last season, like, he was kidnapped, but it was only briefly until the nurse droid came in and rescued him. So they had to up the stakes for this one. So now it's a full-on capture, which we kind of called it because they had to raise the stakes for this again. So that's basically the one way to do it.
I'm wondering now how the spear is going to come into play. Because like he got that thing. It was one of the only things that survived being blown up on the ship. And I mean, he already has plenty of weapons, but I'm wondering how that particularly is going to come into play. Like
he's going
to fight Gideon with it.
He's going to fight Gideon with it, with the dark saber. Like,
That would be a good counter weapon, actually.
Because we've already
seen it. Yeah,
we've already established that the spear can go up against a lightsaber. So
now suddenly I'm imagining the end of Commando when Arnold takes on Bennett, and then he's like, "I'm not gonna shoot you between the eyes. I'm gonna shoot you between the balls." And he just fucking impales him with the pipe.
they off some skew, bitch.
If that happens, like I won't complain. I will be so pleased. He's like he harpooned him. We very rarely see that in Star Wars.
Oh look, I've been impaled.
Just like what Boba did to that one stormtrooper, like, oh look, I'm impaled.
He shish kebabbed him.
Yeah, really.
It was shorter than normal, but it was a great episode, and like
very action packed.
Well, as is Robert Rodriguez's style, so I'm glad for that at least. I mean, we still had plenty of good plot, but the action scenes, woo, they shined.
Oh boy.
And I just like had to stop and look at it for a moment. I'm like, so we have the guy from Game of Thrones, we have Aquaman's dad, and we have Fa Mulan all fighting together against stormtroopers. Never thought I'd say that sentence in my life. But it was great though, and we thank you so much for finally giving Boba his moment. Like I see people online kind of like not so much like making fun of him, but kind of like, you know, saying how, he has the dad bod now, like Fat Thor. And I'm like, yeah, but he rocked it, dude. Like, come on, give him his moment. Like,
yeah, really.
Give him his props. Because that could not be easy to maneuver in that. Any other final thoughts?
I think we've said all that can be said with this episode.
We have spoken.
We did.
Yeah, we have. Again, we don't know the title of the next episode quite yet. We know there's a different writer for it, so that should be interesting to see how that plays off into the next one, but I have faith. I shall keep the faith. So.
Oh, you forgot to mention the tidbit.
So yeah, I was looking at the little tidbits about the episode, and the part at the end where Boba basically is, you know, he's basically showing him the wrist thing and saying, "See, I am a Mandalorian. You happy now?" Like, of course, Star Wars nerds actually translated the writing, and yeah, it's basically a birth ticket saying that, you know, his father's Jango Fett, Jango was adopted by this guy who's a Mandalorian, and that he is total legit. There you go, fans. There's your proof. I hope you're happy. You know, be satisfied until they change it again at some point, because
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna change it.
They're gonna change it. Because of the Star Wars universe, their continuity changes on a dime.
This isn't the DC universe where they reboot it every 5 years, Kat.
It may as well be at this point.
No, it's gonna be too confusing.
Nerd fight, nerd fight, nerd fight.
Yeah. Force choke.
Put 'em up.
But anyway, see you next time for episode insert title here. Until then, I'm Kat MacBerrie.
I'm Eric Stoller.
I'm Doug MacBerrie.
And we have spoken.